Well, when the pandemic arrived in the U.S., the first major professional sports league to shut down was the NBA. And now it appears it will be among the first to come back. Bill Benner has more in this week's Inside Indiana Sports. Bill.
Gary, thanks. Indeed, the NBA serves as the catalyst for the cessation of sports in America in March, but now it looks to get things moving again with a tentative agreement to have training camps, conclude a regular season, and launch the playoffs at the Disney World Sports Complex in Orlando. Of course, that would include the Indiana Pacers, and here to talk about the resumption of play as well as the Pacers' chances is Indy Star Pacers beat writer Jay Michael. And Jay, welcome to the program. Good to see your face again, and certainly it's been a long time coming, but it looks like we might have some basketball again at the professional level.
Yeah, we're going to have basketball again. And, you know, the weird thing for me is I find myself having to go back and revisit exactly what the team, especially when it comes to the Pacers, but what some of these teams were by the time we had that work stoppage, because it's been so long, I kind of forget, you know, over the course of a season of 82 games, you know, the ebb and flow of a team changes, the rotations, the way they're playing, some of the wrinkles they throw in to help improve their chances, like the Pacers made. They made some significant improvements. But I have to go back and refresh my memory because it's so long ago. It's almost having to, I feel like I'm going back into training camp again. It just feels like October all over again for me.
What are you, and what's your assessment, again, eight regular season games tacked on, and then that will, you know, determine the final playoff positioning. What do you think about this concept that the Board of Governors and the NBA have come up with?
I mean, it's kind of odd. I mean, I guess maybe it's the best thing that they can do under the circumstances, because you need some games for some of these guys to kind of get game shape back, to get back in rhythm playing with each other. So I expected to see that all along. It was just a matter of how many games. Of course, financially, so the league doesn't have to give back money. You want to get to that 70 game, that magic number, so they don't have to pay back money to the network. So that was important for them. So I think that's partly a business decision as well. But I was glad that they kept it in conference rather than going seeding 1 through 16, because that was something that was floated earlier. If they had gone to a 1 to 16 seed, the Pacers were looking at somewhere being around 11th, maybe even 12th, and they would have had a much tougher opponent in the first round, and I think that kind of changes things. So to keep the integrity of the playoff process, I thought they needed to stick with Eastern and Western conferences, and I think that was, for me, the most important part of all of this.
I think the Pacers can finish maybe as high as third. Probably unlikely. Certainly they are in the playoffs. And they were playing well when everything shut down, starting to, you know, Victor Oladipo was back and they were starting to get their groove again. What do you think about the Pacers' chances when this resumes?
Well, since they've gone to they're going to stick with the conferences, I like their chances because I think right now they're currently in the 5th spot. They would be in a matchup with the Miami Heat. And even though they've lost twice to the Heat during the regular season, I feel like the Pacers, at least at the time of the stoppage, were on an upward trajectory, whereas Miami seemed to be coming down from how they started the season. Miami was really good starting the season, was as high as number 2 in the East. And you start to see Miami people kind of figuring out how to go against a team that's so zone defense heavy. And you see the Pacers making a lot of adjustments, X's and O's wise. You know, they're doing different schemes on the pick and roll in terms of defending it. They've gotten away from certain concepts. They're using 3-2 zone themselves, and it's kind of catching teams by surprise. So I think throwing in all of these wrinkles, something that we hadn't seen Coach Nate McMillan do before, was catching some teams by surprise. And then you see Miles Turner, who had kind of been out of sync, at least on the offensive end. His level of play offensively is starting to match Domantas Sabonis' level of play. And then you have Oladipo. He had a season high 27 points in that final game against Boston before the stoppage. You see him getting back, and now you have Malcolm Brogdon back.
And it will certainly be great to have Malcolm Brogdon back on the roster. So, Jay Michael, thank you so much for joining us on the program today, and we look forward to soon reading your reports on the NBA and the Pacers in the Indy Star. Gary, back to you.
All right, Bill, thanks. Look forward to seeing the Pacers back on the court, to be sure.